If you guys made it this far, congratulations, you are now halfway there at restoring your old rack and pinion and turning it into something like this. So stay tuned and continue watching. This right here, you guys, is going to be your spacer and the oil seal for the driver's side. Once you get it out, it should look something like this, just like I was explaining in the last video. And then you're going to be left with this. It's going to have literally nothing on it. What I did was I cleaned it off, I pressure washed it, sanded whatever I needed sanded down, all the dirt and everything, primered it, painted, and now you're all caught up. Now go ahead and grab yourself some moly grease and some painter's tape. We're going to be attaching the tape onto the teeth of the rack so we don't damage the teeth when we put the spacer and the oil seal back on. If you guys are as picky as I am in changing out all the components that came with your seal kit, go ahead and take a heating gun and heat up the seal and the O-ring that is a part of that groove. Then as you're doing it, it should expand. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take a flathead or something that's small that you can pry up, just like this one. Go in there, pry it up, and take it out. Then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your new seal and your new O-ring that came with your kit and compare them with the old parts to make sure that's the right part. As you can see here, this is the comparison that I'm doing. Then I'm going to go ahead and heat up that seal and the O-ring, and then I'm going to place it on to the same spot. So this is what the O-ring and the seal should look like for the inside. From that to that. Alright, so after we get this installed, now what we're going to do is we're going to be installing the driver's side seal and metal washer, right? The face of it is going to be planted on the metal washer, right? And that's going to be installed in reverse, so it's going to go just like this. I'm not going to put this all the way in because I have to lube up this with ATF, but you're going to install it just like this. The ring first with the outside facing, and then the washer, metal washer on top. So before we put the rack back inside the housing, what we're going to do is we're going to apply some of this EP moly grease inside the driver's side pinion bearing, like the bearing that's all the way down there. We're going to be applying grease in there. We're going to be applying some on the inner rims of here and around here, and on some of the components that are going back inside, we're going to be applying it there too, but we're not going to be applying it on those components just yet. We're just going to be putting it on the housing, so let's get to it. Okay, so now that we have installed or put the EP grease or moly grease onto the housing, we're going to put the rack back in. So now is going to be the best time for you to go ahead and remove the tape that is attached to the teeth on the rack. What we're going to do is we're going to apply some of that grease in here before we put it inside our rack. So we're just going to lube this up. Okay, once the grease has been applied to the driver's side rack, we're going to apply some of the automatic transmission fluid from this end and down so this can slip in. So what I did was I reinserted the rack in the same orientation that I took it out from, and now I'm taking a mallet and a little wooden piece to go ahead and hit the housing back onto the rack. I used a towel and a wooden piece on the bottom so I wouldn't damage any of the components that are on the rack. Just like so. She is just about in. Look, I'll go ahead and push with my own hand, and she's through. The passenger side seal. We're going to be installing that now. And you see I got it in just a few threads, right? So not to worry. What I am going to do next is going to take this guy right here and screw her in. As soon as I screw this all the way in, we should have a rebuilt rack and pinion, or rack. Then I'm gonna get to the pinion side, which is, you know, she's all back in, screwed all the way down with grease and everything. You could see the gearing if I turn it one way. There you go. As for right now, this is completely done. If you made it this far, then you successfully completed your rack. The pinion side is what we're going to get onto right now, so we'll go ahead and get you guys set it up so you guys can see what it takes to fix the pinion. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our pinion housing and we're going to remove the oil seal that sits in the very top, right? It's going to look just like this. It's going to be sitting at the top of it, and there's going to be a bearing that sits on the complete opposite end. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove that. So what I did was I took a 1/2 inch drive and a 1/4 inch adapter, and I hit it from the top going down. So this piece I went in and I tapped it down and came out. Now when you're installing it, try to find something that's relatively close to the diameter of the bearing. I found a 21mm, hopefully that's flush enough, and I will give it a few hits and see if I can get it to get in there flush. Don't forget to put some moly grease on the bearing before putting it back in. Alright, so this part is necessary if you are doing the in-depth version of this. If you are still a little bit hesitant to doing this next process, then you can go ahead and skip it. I would recommend changing it because if you're trying to get it all brand new, then you'd want to do this. But if you're just like, you change the seals, you want to go ahead and skip to the end, you guys can go ahead and skip this part. But I'm gonna do it since I already have it. I'm taking everything that came with the kit and I'm gonna change it out. But to show you what you have to do is you take the heating gun and you heat up each one. With heat, these expand. So once they expand, you can go ahead and take like a flathead screwdriver and pop it off, pop it loose, and then you should be good. So I'm gonna take all these off and I'm gonna start here and then work my way all the way back up to the top and clean it. Alright, so there you have it. You have, you have your 4 old O-rings that sit on the pinion. Your pinion should look like this if you're doing the in-depth one. Just go ahead and, I wouldn't say wash this, but just clean it up some more. And I'm wearing a glove only because as of right now this is really hot. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the new O-rings, and once we set up the new O-rings, we're going to lubricate them just a little bit with automatic transmission fluid, and then we're going to walk these. I'm going to take the ring and I'm going to walk them all the way down to the base, all the way back up.